were on the earlier diagram. They're the ones grinding, and you see you have just rows and rows of them. And there'll be multiple floors. A typical mill has probably 45 different pieces of equipment making flour. Oh, and by the way, if you feel free to ask any questions during the process, if anything needs clarification. This is the first time I've taught this specific class, so if there's anything unclear, please ask. Okay, so here is a whole wheat kernel, and what you have is on the inside, they call this the endosperm. This is your flour. And you have the embryo of the wheat plant, because the wheat seed is actually designed to be a wheat plant, and so it has all the information for a new wheat plant right here. Has a protective coating of bran so it survives over the winter. This is your energy source of your flour. It has very high carbohydrate and lots of energy. And then the proteins that are in the rest of the material, the bran and the germ, go into the structure of building the new plant. So, this is just some beginning to describe some of the different types of flour that are out there. Einkorn is an ancient wheat, so a question was already asked today whether or not modern wheat is making people sensitive to it, if it's harder to digest, if it's causing issues. And it's obvious, it's a very contentious subject. People that have spent years developing wheat are very defensive about it. No, we didn't do anything to the wheat. On the other hand, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that maybe you did. And we'll talk about some of the data that's out there and suggest there are things that we've done to the wheat that would at least raise the question.
The okra and wheat, is that still a wheat that we raise today?
It is, and
I see it's 18 protein, which is just out of this world.
Yeah, and I brought some flour, not the kernel.
Where is that raised now?
There's a small amount of it raised here in North Dakota, in Minnesota, in Canada, in this region, and other places in the United States as well. It's in high demand. Right now, you don't see a lot of it out there, but...
So that's a spring wheat?
Einkorn is a winter wheat.
Okay.
It's not spring wheat, it's winter. So you can grow both. You can plant winter wheat in the spring and it'll still grow. But einkorn, what's interesting about it is it's diploid. It only has 2 chromosomes like we do. We have an X and a Y, right? Our women have an X and an X. But we have 2 chromosomes. As you get into the modern wheats, they have 6. They're hexaploid. And so by breeding it, we have just immediately changed it from 2 chromosomes to 6. Now, it's not through genetic modification, it's just through crossbreeding. This happens to plants when you crossbreed them. They just pick up the other genes and they start adding to it. But it changes it. So you have hard white wheat, you have soft white wheat. This goes into cakes and crackers. Hard white wheat goes into bread, but they thought this was going to be the way of the future because you don't have to bleach it to get it real white. But it's susceptible to sprout. It's kind of hard to grow. Hard red winter wheat is the majority of the wheat that's grown in the United States. And up here we grow hard red spring wheat. And again, it's got the second highest protein over there. And this is what we have. And we're really lucky to have it because it's in real high demand. The rest of the world really wants that. Because if they have hard wheat, just winter wheat, or they have weaker wheat, you can blend some of this in there and it's strong enough, it'll make it perform. The soft red winter wheat over there is also for crackers and biscuits and cakes and such. And the durum wheat is for spaghetti. And that's also grown up here. So this is just a longer diagram describing how the milling's done. When the wheat comes in, it's really a lot of attention. They don't just get a rail car of wheat and they start grinding it. They typically blend this wheat with at least 20, 25 different bins to get it consistent. And so you'll segregate the wheats by protein as it comes in and types, and then you pull 5% or something of each bin. And you make sure it's super consistent, because especially the commercial bakers has to perform the same every day. If they mix this for 7 minutes yesterday, it has to mix for 7 minutes today. Or you gotta call them and tell them, hey, you better add or subtract some mix time. So it's all done up here as far as the consistency. And you can't read any of this, so I'm not gonna spend too much time there, but these are all cleaning devices. This sucks the air off. It goes over a screen, and air blows through it. It pulls the chaff off of it. This is a de-stoner. This is something that has little pockets that are the size of a piece of wheat, so when the disc goes around, it picks up the wheat, throws it, and again separates the chaff. This is a magnet. Pull any metal out, because you can get metal from the field, and it'll damage the equipment, so they pull it out mainly to protect the equipment. And then the rest of it is what we just looked at earlier, the grinding, sifting, grinding. You can see there are multiple steps of grinding and sifting. And on the right side, you really can't see that, but these are the byproducts you get. You get flour, you get germ, you get a kind of dirty flour that's taken off the last steps of the mill as they're really scraping the bran at the end. That goes into rye bread and some darker breads. And then these are two different types of bran, a bran and a fine bran. These are just some of your different types of flour that are out there. I brought some here that we can look at. So again, the different types of flour. So we talked about soft wheat, hard wheat, spring wheat. So this is the level of protein. And John had mentioned 18 protein in the einkorn. The protein is real necessary. That's what forms gluten. And has a gas retention. It does two things. It holds the gas, so it can be really strong and really expand. It also allows it to carry other ingredients. If you want to put nuts or things, fruit into a bread, the protein helps hold that up. On the other hand, down here on the lower protein, you have cake. That's a picture of a cake. So cake, egg noodles, down here in the low protein. If you get further up into the soft wheat, maybe you have muffins. Once you get into the hard wheat, winter wheat, you start getting bread. But then as you get up and start carrying bran, you need some of the higher protein to carry that. So as the protein goes up, it has more carrying capability to carry other ingredients with it. So again, these are your types of flour. I brought those as well. You have whole wheat. That's the entire kernel just ground up. Most of us are used to using white flour. And these are your bran and your germ that came off when they separated the bran kernel. Okay, so a lot of people are, ask about bleached flour, unbleached flour. What are you doing to the flour? Are you changing the health characteristics of the flour? In bleaching, one happens naturally, just as things whiten in the sun, and naturally with oxygen in the air, they get whiter. It just takes about a month to do it, and bakers don't want to wait a month. No one wants to store a month's worth of flour. So they try to hurry it up. So the changes occur naturally, but they hurry it up, and so they add something called benzoyl peroxide to bread flour. It's the same ingredient that's in acne medicine. It's just like hydrogen peroxide in that it just bleaches things.
When you get through tonight, are we gonna still wanna eat bread?
I think so. I mean, it's good for you. Now, but we're going to be, we're going to be honest about, all this. For one thing,